Welcome back to another episode, guys. We are going to hit it right back off again. We're actually coming pretty close to our final product, which is awesome. The game runs fine. The coins go through the walls, though. We'll fix that right now. But yeah, the game's looking pretty good. The game's starting to feel like a game. Obviously, I've got the sound turned off now, but yeah, I'm thinking the game's starting to be pretty awesome. So give yourself a pat on the back. We've done it. Well, not completely, but we're on our way. Okay, so let's fix those wall colliders. What we can do, if we go to the scene and we go to the pillar on the left, if we just add a polygon collider 2D and we zoom in, because for some reason it's created more of like a box collider and that's not what we want, and we just extend this out a little bit, and if you just put your cursor along the line, you'll see these little points, and these points are kind of like joints that you can like pull in, and it doesn't have to be super precise. Just has to get the job done. And there we go. And zoom down the bottom. I'm going to pretend those steps are not there, because I think it's going to not matter. And on the right hand side, did the same thing. Add a polygon collider 2D. Adjust this. First, then adjust it out a little bit. Then adjust this to there. And then alright, now I'll give this game a spin, and because our coins have colliders and rigid bodies on them, they should explode in a nice fashion. I might not actually get any. Damn. Let's start that again. Let's see those coins. Come on, coins. Okay, we saw it kind of bounce off the wall at the bottom there, but we want to make sure it definitely fixes the problem. Awesome. So that does fix the problem. Cool. Well, guys, that's the first thing done. That's like so now we've got sweet wall colliders. It doesn't actually add too much more to our game in regards to like processing power, which is something that we have to look for in mobile. So now we can get on to the next thing, and we're going to start. We're going to adjust our object spawner script again, and I thought it would be a really cool idea to add in some more gameplay elements. I know what you're thinking. Why more gameplay elements? Because I think right now I've tested the game a little bit, and right now the player he's in a state of constant, running, hiding. He never feels powerful in this game. He's consistently just feeling, running, hiding. The only time he ever feels powerful is when he gets maybe some coins, and but the rest of the time he's actually feeling like he's the one being attacked all the time. And that's fine for some games, like maybe a horror game and things like that. But in this instance, we want actually our player to go through different seasons of play. Well, that's just a word I created, but different like zones almost. Like we created that with the gap trees, and we created that with the big tree and things like that, and the random things falling. But we want to actually make the player feel powerful. So I thought it'd be really cool to add an invincibility token that falls down. So to do that, we'll go to our object spawner script, and we will create a public game object. Let's spell that wrong. Invincible. Invincibility token. Cool. Invincibility token. And then we're going to create a new float. Then we're going to private float I'm just going to copy this timer. And we're going to equal that to 3 for now. 0f. And then we can just copy one of these, doesn't matter which one, just drop it in there. And if invincibility token timer is less than 0, then we want to spawn the invincibility token. So we can say spawn invincibility token. Spelled that wrong. Oh, just so it's the same. Sorry, I just like to make sure everything's exactly the same. Awesome, spawn invincibility token. Okay, cool. So then we can create a new void and copy, paste that in there. And we can say, well, we just need to do basically the same thing as this here, as spawn big token. Instantiate, what do we want to instantiate? Invincibility token at a random range between 6 and 6, that's all good. And then we want to change the invincibility token timer to, say, between 30 and 60. Cool. That's awesome. Next thing we want to do, just before we jump back into Unity and test that out, I actually want to create the ability for the player to get more hearts. And we'll test that out as well at the same time. If we don't like it, we can always get rid of any of these things later on. But just as final core gameplay mechanics, I think it is important to give it a try, because I think it would be a great way for the player to continue playing, to become stronger. Like if you notice in Ski Safari, you can get more powerful by getting a jet ski or Yeti or whatever, and escape the avalanche. So we're going to create a public game object heart token. Could just call it heart, but I just think add token at the end makes it a bit more easier. And copy this, and we're going to call it heart token timer, equal it to 5 just to make it different. And then we want to actually we need to do two things. I always forget this one. Invincibility token timer minus equals time.delta time, and heart token timer minus equals time dot delta time. Fantastic. And we also need to obviously create the call for the method here. So if heart token timer is less than 0, then we want to spawn heart token. Void spawn heart token. And can have it the same thing here. Drop that in and make it the heart timer, token timer, and adjust the heart token timer to a random range again. We can adjust all these numbers later, and we will, but it's important to test out the gameplay to get a feel for it, and we can do that later. But for now, what I'm saying is, at the end of the project, we're going to test the hell out of the project. Give it to your brother, give it to your sister, give it to your mum, give it to your grandma, give it to your friends, and get them to play the game. And they'll be like, oh, I think this doesn't feel right, or it sucks, or it's really good. Actually, in fact, a lot of people will tell you it's really good when it's actually not that good when you're first making games. Important to just test, watch people, watch their facial expressions as they're playing, see how long they actually want to play for, and note down all those things in your mind. And then later on, when we're about to release the final product, we can adjust it, fine tune it, get it really nice and solid, and then that's when we want to upload it to the App Store, when it's as best as it can possibly be in the time frame that we want to hit. Okay, so just having a quick look at this code. Everything looks fine. So if we go back into Unity, we got a problem. Oh, we want to spawn the heart token. Ooh, that was a bit of a silly mistake. All right, don't worry about these warnings. We'll fix them later. Okay, so obviously, silly me, we need to actually add something for them to fall down. So quickly, we're just going to drag the token in here. We're going to call this heart, and we're going to make it red. This is just for testing purposes. Drag it into the temp folder, and I'm going to add another one. I'm going to call it Invincible or Invin, all just temporary at this stage, just to make sure they spawn correctly, and drop it into the temp folder. Go delete it from the scene. Go to the scripts and put heart token in the heart token and invincibility in the invincibility, and let's give it a spin. After 3 seconds, there's our invincibility one that fell down, and there's our heart one that fell down. Cool. So they're spawning correctly. That's what we want. Happy days. And now we can go to the play collide script and adjust that. Okay, I'll just adjust the sizing, and I'm going to create a public bool. Can take damage. I don't know why I did that. Can take damage. All right, that's what we want. In the first thing we want to do is in the take damage method, we want to write if can take damage equals true. Then we want to do this stuff. Because there's no use in doing it, obviously, if we can't take damage. So if copy that, we'll also do the same thing for take big damage. Okay, so what that does is it gives us the ability to turn off the ability to take damage. So if you get hit by anything, you won't actually take any damage. So it gives us the ability to turn it off and on with just a simple bool. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. It's a little bit too... sorry, touchy trackpad. Okay, cool. So then we want to create a... I like to have game over at the bottom for some reason. But create a... Just copy this, actually. Copy. And we want to change the name, obviously, to Invincibility. Okay. And we want to say can take damage equals false. One equal sign, sorry. And we want to do a few things. First of all, we'll do a yield. Yield return new wait for seconds. And let's say 12 is a good time. 12 seconds. Play can feel really powerful. And then we can just say can take damage equals true. And that's it. That would totally work fine. That would mean the play would be invincible for that amount of time, and that is exactly what we want. But the problem is the player doesn't have any feedback, meaning he doesn't know that he's invincible. Nothing's changed. So I think there's a couple of cool things that we can do to take the gameplay once again up that next level and make it so he knows that when he's invincible and when he's not invincible anymore. So I think what's really cool is we use like the Mario almost effect of speeding up the music, making him blink almost, and I think we can do that pretty easily. So we're going to start off underneath can take damage equals false. We're going to say game object dot get component sprite renderer dot color equals new color (1.0f), which is 100% on RGB. One, you can see here it's asking for RGB values, 1.0f on G, 1.0f on B, but if you press the comma again, it brings up the alpha level, and we want that just to be 0.5f, so 50% transparent. Cool. And then we can just do game object dot get component audio source oh man, what am I doing? Audio source dot pitch equals 1.2f. Cool. That's exactly what we need. So now it's just going to the music's going to be just a little bit faster, 0.2 faster, which is great. And then underneath after the 12 seconds, we want the player to. So right now everything is fine. Actually, in fact, let's copy this and let's put this under can take damage equals true. After the yield statement, we'll just put that back in there. Change this to a 1.0f. And change this back to 1.0, and then that's it. That totally works. But I think we also want to make sure that the player knows when he's about to run out of invincibility. So to do that, we can create a for loop. So for int I equals 0, I is less than 10. I plus plus, and we can literally just copy this line of code, and then we can copy this line of code, but we want to change the time to 0.25f, and then we can copy this line of code. This line of code. So let me run through exactly what's happening. Well, actually, we'll and then copy this. As well. So what's happening? Well, what happened there? That was weird. So what's happening is making it so the player can't get hurt. Then we're saying, which obviously we talked about up here, where these will only work. The take damage methods will only work if it's can take damage equals true. And then we're just saying that we're turning the sprite renderer to be transparent, changing the pitch of the music, and then we're waiting for 12 seconds, and then we're repeating this. If I got my maths correct, 0.25, 0.25, so that's 0.5, and we repeat that 10 times, so that's 5 seconds. So yeah, I think I got my maths wrong there. Actually, I'm not sure. Anyway, that seemed to be fine when I tested earlier, so I think that's what we'll stick with. So if I go for int I equals 0, it basically just runs a for loop. So what it does is it turns the player back to fully opaque, waits for 0.25 seconds, turns into half transparency, waits 0.25 seconds, and then repeats this and does this 10 times. And then after that, it changes the pitch back to normal, changes the sprite renderer back to normal, and then just makes it so you can take damage again. And that's it. So that's our invincibility coroutine. And let's just save that and jump back over into Unity and see if there's any problems. No problems so far. But our player still doesn't, nothing happens to the player when he touches the invincibility token. So let's fix that now. So let's go over to Unity and click on the invincibility and add a new tag. And let's call this Invincibility. Cool. And make sure we actually assign that to invincibility. And let's actually change the layer to log. I know that it's called log and it's not a log, but that's fine. We just want it to be able to fall through the floor. We don't want it to be able to sit there because then that'd be too easy. Alright, and then if we go to back to our play collide script, and we can just copy one of these and change it to invincibility. Okay, and then we want to start invincibility. Cool, that should work. Let's give it a spin. Oh, actually, for this one, let's turn the music back on. I don't know why I said that so weird. Alright, cool. Let's do this. I don't think I collided with it then. And I didn't collide with it again then. I think I've got the tag wrong, to be perfectly honest. I'm just going to make sure I copy that. For some reason I can't spell today. Here we go. Oh, I missed it. How annoying. Alright, now player can't get hurt. He's transparent, which is cool. Let's see if he starts blinking. Cool, and the music turned back. Everything works fine. So that's an invincibility, guys, which is awesome. Now we can create the heart one. Heart. Actually, I'm just going to call it heart. Heart token. And I'm going to call this token as well, and just make sure we change it. So go to the prefabs. Oh, temp, invincibility. Change this. Go to add tag. Add token there, and that's not what we want. Heart token. Add heart token there. I'm going to copy and paste. Don't want to make the same mistakes. Alright, cool. And we can start the, I suppose, gain heart. Gain heart method, and it can just be a and we can just copy this to be above the coroutines. No reason to do that, I just like to keep things organized, as you guys probably figured out by now. And we can just underneath take big damage, we can create a void gain cool, gain heart. And in the gain heart, for now, let's just say health if health is less or equal to 3, actually, sorry, if health is less than 3, then we can say health equals health. Oh, we can just say health plus plus. So just increment it up by 1. So let's give that a spin. Let's go over to the temp folder, get the heart, change the heart to a heart token. Change the layer, let's actually not change the layer for testing purposes. And let's press play. I'm gonna get hurt. We're not getting hurt anymore, so we need to make sure we change this to, make sure we set this to true. First up, can take damage equals true. Okay, what's going on here? Click on the player. So why is can take damage equal false? People can take damage. Just adding that there, just so it throws error, so we can see it. This is very confusing. Can take damage equals true. Set this to private, so it's not being affected by anything in the inspector. Alright, so that turns out that it was just because the inspector hadn't done anything. Okay. So what was happening there is because it was, for some reason, I don't know why, it wasn't initializing as true, because I think in the inspector it was left unticked from when it was just defaulting to false. So I just made it private. You could have just ticked it or reset it, but I just turned it to private because we don't actually need it to be public. That was just really weird. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so if we press play, we've got to lose a heart first. So lost a heart, and let's wait now, and we've got the heart back. So it's actually not disappearing, but, and our heart's back. Cool. All right, so that works. That works fine. So now we can just turn the music off again, and go back into the scripting, and that works perfectly fine. So we just need to add a couple of little things. Probably need to play audio, so we can just say play heart gain audio, and we also need to well, we don't need to, but we can make it so we destroy the game object. Okay, cool. Alright, cool. Alright. Okay, let's give that a spin. And it deleted the heart. Cool. Alright, so everything is working fine. Fantastic. Alright guys, well that's it for this episode. Join us next week and we'll continue this project. I'll see you then. Peace.